Hey folks, Travis again here at the Homestead, and wanted to talk today about Homestead dogs. And seems to be a lot of discuss and disagreement, I guess, online I've seen on what makes a good Homestead dog, or should you even have a Homestead dog. And I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in on what has worked for us. This dog here, this is my big male Pyrenees. He's a big baby. This is Odin, and we have a male and a female, and they're both full-blooded and just really good dogs. He's kind of dirty right now, but that's just how it is when you live out here. And you know, we put a lot of thought into what kind of dogs to get because you know, we wanted to have a purpose. I mean, they're not just a pet that, you know, has a little enjoyment in your life. I mean, they actually have a purpose. They're, you know, a working animal. And so we put a lot of thought into that. And I have worked and been around just about all kinds of dogs. Years and years ago, I even volunteered at a animal shelter, so it exposed me to a lot of different types of dogs out there. And then, of course, on farms and stuff, I've been around different kinds. And so it's, you know, it's given me a good idea of what might work. And hold on, you're going to knock my camera out of my hand, Odin. What would work and what wouldn't work. And there are some things to think of when you're, oh, he's going to lay on me now. There's some things to think of when choosing a dog. Now, if you live in the city and you're wanting a homestead, and you already have maybe a house pet or something, I mean, it's fine, you know, bring it with you if you want, but don't guarantee or bet on the fact that that dog is going to fulfill, you know, a working need out on the homestead. You know, it's not necessarily going to protect you and your family or your animals just because it's a dog. Not all dog breeds work well in that area, and not all dogs do a good job in that area. You want a dog, depending on your situation. You know, for us, we live way out in the woods, and there are a lot of predators, small and large, that can prey on our animals. You know, we have a lot of chickens and ducks and geese. We have cows. We don't have goats right now, but we have had them, and we're planning on getting some more soon. And then, of course, just our kids. You know, we have to worry about, you know, is a bobcat or a coyote or a bear or mountain lion, you know, going to come into the yard because we live right on the edge. You know, there's woods all around us. So we thought about those types of things. There are farm dogs like herding dogs and stuff that work good in that purpose of herding, but they may not necessarily be that great at getting predators away. Some of them do, but a lot of times, I mean, there's been times that they end up just being friends with the coyotes and running with them. So you want a dog that is very territorial, and Pyrenees are that. They establish their territory, and they don't allow anything in that territory unless they're okay with it. That's one good thing. They do a lot of barking. So if you live, you know, if you homestead on 5 acres and you got neighbors all around you on 5 and 10 acres, they may not be the best, you know, choice for you because they can get really noisy sometimes. Now, they don't bark constantly, but at night, if they hear something or smell something, they will make a ruckus. Typically during the day, they're like he is now. They're pretty quiet. They're actually considered a nocturnal dog. So they do a lot of laying around and sleeping during the day, and at night they're very, very active. They are very powerful. You know, he weighs out around 150, 165 pounds. Mama's a little bit less than him. They are fierce. They have really no fear of anything. I've seen him, they've chased black bear, they've chased coyotes. They have no problem with that at all. They are a really good judge of character, I think. They kind of really hone in on the owner, and if the owner doesn't like something or doesn't like someone, they kind of let you know they feel the same way. So I, you know, really depend on that. They're not an aggressive dog, which was important for us. Having small children, we did not want a dog that we would have to worry about them, you know, getting agitated or snapping or biting or doing something like that to our kids. Of course, any dog can, but these dogs are just, they're, you know, a lot of people refer to them as gentle giants, and he's going to fall asleep here. And they are. They're the biggest babies. When you around them, it's hard to imagine them being a protective and fierce, courageous dog, but because they're such big babies, the baby sleeps with this one half the time. I mean, she'll curl up on the floor with him and use him as a pillow and fall asleep with him. And so they bond really, really well with the kids, and they protect the kids much in the same way that they would protect, you know, goats and sheep and chickens and stuff like that. When we moved here, this land hadn't been lived on in a few years, so there was a lot of wildlife. I mean, there was possums and raccoons and armadillos and coyotes and stuff just running right through the yard, and these guys got to work and chased them all off, killed a lot of small critters. There was, for the longest while, about every day it seemed like we'd wake them, there'd be a dead possum or raccoon or armadillo in the yard. We free range our birds during the day and have never lost one due to that type of thing. And it's because they do a real good job of keeping things away. So I love them. I think Pyrenees are great. Anatolians, I've worked around them. They don't seem to wander quite as far. The range of a Pyrenees is a bit, you know, they'll go out in the field and woods and stuff, but we have lots of land around us, including our own, so it's okay. The only thing that I've kind of heard about Anatolians is they're a little bit more aggressive and can be with strangers, whereas Pyrenees, they don't typically, you know, even if it's a stranger, their first thing isn't to attack. Their first thing is to bark and growl and make a bunch of noise, and then if they feel that the person or thing is, you know, continually coming closer and stuff, then they might attack. Whereas I've heard that Anatolians sometimes, and I could be wrong, that sometimes their first thing is to attack. And I like that. They're a very good warning system, and they're also very protective. I know when the kids are outside playing and the dogs are around, nothing's going to bother them. I mean, these dogs are on top of it. Last year, my wife was out hanging up clothes with the baby, and down a ways, but still close enough for it to be a definite threat. I mean, they were 3 coyotes come out of the field, and they were close enough to her that they probably could have been on her and the baby before she could have gotten inside. That's how close enough they were. And this guy right here, he went after him. He tore him up. I mean, he didn't kill them, but he tore them up big time. Come back. He had a little bit of a blood on his ear where one of them nipped him, but man, he tossed him around like nothing. And, you know, nothing's come back. You can hear him off in the distance at night, but they don't get close to the house. And if they get too close, he takes off after them. Both of them do. We have one of their pups. They've had some pups, and we've kept one. He's going to go somewhere else now. He's tired of talking. And we'll probably have 3 then. So I would suggest something like that. Like I said, really do some investigation, because, you know, you get a dog and you want it for a certain work purpose, and then it doesn't work out, but then you become attached to it, and it makes it difficult. So do some research, and don't just buy into that, you know, well, any dog will work, you know, any old coon dog or hound dog or lab, and they may be good dogs for certain purposes, but when it comes to being a homestead protector, a guardian dog, they may not always be that good. They may become too friendly with some of the animals, or not, you know, chase them off, or do too many things that actually draws them in, things like that. So it's just something to think about. Again, the Pyrenees have worked amazing for us. They're stubborn dogs. You don't really have to train them. It's very natural for them to be protectors, especially if you get them young and raise them around your livestock or your children or both. So it's kind of natural for them. Anyways, that's really all I got. I think it's very important, especially for us. I mean, you know, we have to pay to feed them and stuff, and so, you know, they need to have a purpose. That's kind of our feeling is, you know, animals on our property, they need to have some kind of purpose. And these guys do have a purpose. And we're very thankful for them. They're kind of like my right hand when it comes to protecting the property. But I really enjoy them. I enjoy the Great Pyrenees. They're extremely lovable dogs. Just crazy. I mean, they just will be all over you. Sometimes he gets kind of on my nerves because he just won't get off of me, constantly wanting attention. But, you know, if he hears something in the woods or something came on the property, man, he would tear it up. So, and that's what you're looking for. All right, well, that's about all I got today. So let me know your comments of what works for you. I'm not saying these are the absolute and there's nothing else better. I'm just saying this is what works for us. So chime in and let me know what's worked for you and what hasn't. All right, we'll see you guys later.